Hello to all. Today we are going to study the lesson The Boy Who Broke the Bank. It is written by Ruskin Bond, who is one of India's most famous and beloved authors. As a child, Bond loved to read. He was fond of books by authors like Charles Dickens, Charlotte Bronte, Rudyard Kipling, and so on. Let us start the lesson. Nathu, the sweeper boy, grumbled to himself as he swept the steps of a small local bank owned by Seth Govindram, a man of wealth whose haphazard business dealings had often brought him to the verge of ruin. Nathu used the small broom hurriedly and carelessly. The dust, after rising in a cloud above his head, settled down again on the steps. As he banged his pan loudly against a dustbin, Sitaram, the washerman's son, passed by. In this lesson, we are going to read about Nathu, who worked as a sweeper at a small local bank. This bank was owned by Seth Govindram, who was not very good at business dealings, and because of that he often had to face loss. So while he was sweeping the steps of the bank, he saw Sitaram pass by, and Sitaram was the son of the washerman or the dhobi. Sitaram was on his delivery round. He had a bundle of freshly pressed clothes balanced on his head. Sitaram was on his delivery round. He had a bundle of freshly pressed clothes balanced on his head. "Don't raise such dust," he called out to Nathu. "Are you annoyed because they are still refusing to pay you another 5 rupees a month?" So while Sitaram was going to deliver the freshly ironed clothes and he was passing by from the bank, he saw Nathu sweeping and there was lot of dust, and because of that he is irritated and he shouts at Nathu saying that he shouldn't raise so much of dust in that place, and he asked him if he was annoyed that he has still not got his salary of that month, which was 5 rupees, and he wanted to know that. "I don't want to talk about it," complained the sweeper boy. "I haven't even received my regular pay. Soon 2 months' pay will be due. Who would think this was a bank holding up a poor man's salary? As soon as I get my money, I'm off. Not another week I will work in this place." And Nathu banged the pan against the dustbin several times. So in this paragraph we see that Nathu and Sitaram are talking to each other, where Nathu tells that he still hasn't got his salary from the past 2 months, and he is planning that he will not work in this place anymore because he is just fed up of not getting his salary, and he is unable to believe that how can a bank which has so much of money and then even they are not able to pay him. "Well, I wish you luck," said Sitaram. "I'll be on the lookout for a new job for you." And he plodded barefoot along the road, the big bundle of clothes hiding most of his head and shoulders. So, wishing him good luck, Sitaram just passed from there. At the fourth home he visited, delivering the washing, Sitaram overheard the woman of the house saying how difficult it was to get someone to sweep the courtyard. Tying his bundle, Sitaram said, "I know of a sweeper boy who's looking for work. He might be able to work for you from next month. He is with Seth Govindram's bank just now, but they aren't giving him his pay and he wants to leave." So when Sitaram was delivering the clothes, he heard this woman talking that she was now tired of sweeping her courtyard, which is the angan. Maybe she was looking for somebody as a house helper. So when Sitaram heard this, he knew that it's a good opportunity and he can maybe arrange a job for Nathu over here. So he starts a conversation with this lady. "Oh, is that so?" said Mrs. Prakash. "And why aren't they paying him?" So this lady's name is Mrs. Prakash, and now she wonders why the bank is not paying Nathu. Why does he want to leave that job even when he's working in a bank which has such a lot of money? "They must be short of money," said Sitaram with a shrug. Mrs. Prakash laughed. "Well, tell him to come and see me when he's free." So what Sitaram does here is that Sitaram tells Mrs. Prakash that maybe the bank is out of money, which means that the bank does not have enough money to pay salary to Nathu. And hearing this, Mrs. Prakash laughed and tells Sitaram to go and tell Nathu that he can come and meet her whenever he is free. Sitaram, glad that he had been of help to both a customer and his friend, hoisted his bag on his shoulders and went on his way. Soon after, Mrs. Prakash set out for the bazaar to make her usual afternoon tour of the cloth shops. A large shady tamarind tree grew near the clock tower. It was here that she found her friend Mrs. Bhushan, sheltering from the heat. So while returning, Sitaram was very glad that he was of some help for his friend Nathu, and also he was able to get a worker for somebody who really needed it. So he was glad of what he had done. So after a while, Mrs. Prakash went out to the bazaar and she went to a cloth shop, and there she found her friend Mrs. Bhushan, who was sitting under a large shady tamarind tree. Tamarind is imli ka ped. Do you know, my dear, Mrs. Prakash said, that Seth Govind Ram's bank can't even pay its employees? Only this morning I heard a complaint from their sweeper boy who hasn't received his pay for 2 months. So here Mrs. Prakash conveys to her friend Mrs. Bhushan that she has heard that Seth Govind Ram bank is out of money and they are not able to pay to their workers also. And she has come to know that the sweeper boy who works there, he has not received his salary for 2 months. It's disgraceful, exclaimed Mrs. Bhushan. If they can't pay the sweeper, they must be in a bad way. None of the others can be getting paid either. Mrs. Bhushan left Mrs. Prakash at the tamarind tree and went in search of her husband, who was found sitting under the fan in Jugal Kishore's electrical goods shop, talking with the owner. So there you are, cried Mrs. Bhushan. I've been looking for you for nearly an hour. I don't know what's happening to this town. Do you know the bank is going bankrupt? When Mrs. Bhushan comes to know that the bank is unable to pay the salaries to their employees, she finds it disgusting, and she then thinks that maybe if they are not able to pay their sweepers, how will they pay the other employees who might be getting more salary? So here we can see a chain is being formed by people who are passing the news of this bank from one mouth to another. So it had first started from Nathu, then it went to Sitaram, and then Mrs. Prakash, and now Mrs. Bhushan. When Mrs. Bhushan comes to know about the situation at the bank, she goes to find her husband, who was sitting in Jugal Kishore's shop, and there she tells her husband that the bank is going bankrupt and they're out of money, and she is unable to understand what is happening in the town. So while she was telling this news to her husband, in that same place, Mr. Jugal Kishore, who was the owner of the shop, also heard this news, and he is surprised to know, and he says, "What did you say?" said Mr. Jugal Kishore, sitting up suddenly. "Which bank?" So Mrs. Bhushan replies, "Why, Seth Govind Ram's bank. Of course, I hear they have stopped paying their employees. No salary for over 3 months. Don't tell me you have an account with them, Mr. Kishore." So now when Mrs. Bhushan is telling the news about the bank to Mr. Jugal Kishore, she makes slight changes in the news, and what she tells him is that they haven't paid their employees for 3 months. What she had heard earlier was that they had not paid for 2 months, and when she tells it to Mr. Jugal Kishore, she changes it a bit, and therefore this creates rumor and panic in the people who are hearing about this news. "No, but my neighbor has," he said, and he called out to the keeper of the barber shop next door. "Faiz Hussain, have you heard the latest? Seth Govind Ram's bank is about to collapse. You'd better take your money out while there's still time." So when Jugal Kishore hears about this news, he is shocked and he says that he does not have an account in that bank, but his neighbor has an account. And so he immediately goes to the barber's shop, which was just next to his shop, and the owner over there was Faiz Hussain, and he tells them that he should also go and immediately take out his money from there because the bank is about to collapse. That is, they are running out of money, and after some time there would be no money, and all those people who have deposited their money in the bank would be in a loss. Faiz Hussain, who was cutting the hair of an elderly gentleman, was so startled that his hand shook and he nicked his customer's right ear. The customer yelped with pain and distress, pain because of the cut and distress because of the awful news he had just heard. So when Faiz heard this news, his hand was shaking and suddenly he nicked his customer. That he cut the customer's skin using the razor. After hearing this news, the customer was also so surprised and so shocked. With one side of his neck still unshorn, he leaped out of his chair and sped across the road to a general store where there was a telephone. He dialed Seth Govind Ram's number. The Seth was not at home. Where was he then? The Seth was holidaying in Kashmir. Oh, was that so? So when this customer heard this news, he just immediately got up from his chair and went to dial Seth Govind Ram's number to find out what was happening. But he came to know that he wasn't at home. He was somewhere in Kashmir and he was enjoying his holidays. And this created panic among these people who were not able to understand that when bank is going through such a difficult condition, then what is the owner of this bank doing? How can he just holiday at some place? He hurried back to the barber's shop and told Faiz Hussain, "The bird has flown. Seth Govind Ram has left town. Definitely it means a collapse. I'll have the rest of my haircut another time." And then he dashed out of the shop, making a beeline for his office and checkbook. So after hearing this, the customer went back to the barber's shop and he told that he would have the rest of the haircut some other time, and right now he just has to go and withdraw the money which he has deposited in the bank. So he immediately leaves from there and goes to get his checkbook. The news spread through the bazaar with the rapidity of a forest fire. From the general store, it traveled to the tea shop, circulated among the customers, and then spread with them in various directions to the pan seller, the tailor, the fruit vendor, the jeweler, and the beggar sitting on the pavement. Men stood in groups at street corners discussing the situation. The small town in the foothills seldom had a crisis and never had floods, earthquakes, or drought. And so the imminent crash of the local bank set everyone talking and speculating and rushing about in a frenzy. So people in this town had never faced such a panic condition and they were not able to understand how to react. They were making small groups in different places and discussing how are they going to handle this situation. Some boasted of the far-sightedness, congratulating themselves on having already taken out their money or on never having put any. So there were some people who were very proud of their far-sightedness. That is, they claim that they already knew what was about to happen. So they said that they were already alert about it and they had already taken out their money. And some others also said that they had never put the money in the bank. Others speculated on the reasons for the crash, putting it all down to Seth Govind Ram's pleasure-loving ways. So now people were making assumptions about what could have happened. They were speculating, that is, they were making guesses. What could be the reason why the bank has collapsed now? And mostly people said that it was because Seth Govind Ram was a pleasure-loving person. That is, he was not a very hard-working man. The Seth had fled the state, said one. He had fled the country, said another. Others insisted that he was hiding somewhere in town. So these are the different guesswork that people were making, that where the Seth could have hidden. Someone who had a relative working as a clerk in the bank decided to call him and get the facts. So there was a person whose relative was working in the bank, and so they called him up to know the exact situation which was going on. So the clerk replies, "I don't know anything about it," said the clerk, "except that half the town is here trying to take their money out. Everyone seems to have gone mad." So the clerk is also not able to understand what is happening, why people are going so mad right now. They're all coming to get their money withdrawn from here. "There's a rumor that none of you has been paid." So this person asks the clerk if he has been paid in this month. So the clerk replies, "Well, the clerks have had their salaries. We wouldn't be working otherwise. It may be that some of the part-time workers are getting paid late, but that isn't due to a shortage of money. It's just that the clerk who looks after their payments is on sick leave. You don't expect me to do his work, do you?" And he put the phone down. So this clerk tells the person that they have already received their salaries, but it is possible that some of the workers might not have got it, because the person who looks after the payments of these workers is on sick leave. So he is sick, and because of that they have still not got their salaries. And saying this, he just put the phone down. By afternoon, the bank had gone through all its ready money, and the harassed bank manager was helpless. Emergency funds could only be obtained from one of the government banks, and now it was nearly closing time. The clerks shut down their counters, but people gathered outside on the steps of the bank, shouting, "We want our money! Give it to us today, or we'll break in! Fetch Seth Govindram! We know he's hiding in the vaults!" So gradually, as the day passed on, the bank had tried to get all the money they could, and they had started giving out the money to people who had come, but they could not immediately raise so much of money to pay so many people who had come there. And soon it was a time for the banks to be closed. All the workers who were there, they started closing their counters because it was time for them to leave. But people who had gathered outside were still furious, and they were shouting that they want their money immediately and they want to have it on that same day. So they were also making allegations on the owner of the bank that he was hiding in the vaults. Vaults are the rooms where money is kept safely inside a bank. So they thought that maybe the Seth is hiding within in the vaults. Mischief makers who did not have a paisa in the bank joined the crowd. The manager stood at the door and tried to calm his angry customers. So while all this was happening, there were a few persons, the mischief makers, who did not have even a single rupee in the bank. But because they saw so many people gathered outside the bank causing violence and shouting, they also joined in that crowd. And the manager was trying to calm them down and trying to tell them that they will all get their money if they just had a little patience. He declared that the bank had plenty of money, that they could withdraw all they wanted the next morning. "We want it now," chanted the people. "Now, now, now." A few stones were thrown, and the manager retreated indoors, closing the iron grill gate. A brick hurtled through the air and smashed into the plate glass window which advertised the bank's assets. So as the mob was getting violent, people started throwing stones and brick at the bank, and because of this the manager had to retreat, that is go backwards, and he went inside the bank and closed the iron grill gate of the bank. Then the police arrived. They climbed the steps of the bank and pushed the crowd back until the people began falling over each other. Gradually, everyone dispersed, shouting that they would be back in the morning. So the situation was handled when the police arrived, and everybody was sent back home. Nathu arrived next morning to sweep the steps of the bank. He saw the refuse and the broken glass and the stones cluttering the steps. Raising his hands in horror, he cried, "Gundas, hooligans! May they suffer from 1,000 ills!" So when next morning Nathu arrived there, he saw such a lot of refuse lying over there, that is the waste material lying over there, and broken glass and some stones. So he started cursing them, and he said that it was bad enough being paid irregularly. Now I must suffer an increase of work. So already he was going through such a difficult situation when he did not get his salary, and now his work has also increased because these people had left so much of rubbish all around the bank and all the on the steps of the bank. Good morning, Nathu, said Sitaram, the washerman's son, getting down from his bicycle. Are you ready to take up a new job from the first of next month? You'll have to, I suppose, now that the bank is closing. What did you say? Said Nathu. Haven't you heard? The bank's going bankrupt. You'd better hang around until the others arrive and then start demanding your money too. So here Sitaram is back again and he meets Nathu and he asks him if he is ready to start a new job with the lady over there, that is Mrs. Prakash's house, because anyways the bank was about to be closed. So hearing this, Nathu was a bit surprised. He asked that what did he say? And then Sitaram tells him that the bank had gone bankrupt, that is they were out of money, and it would be better for Nathu to immediately go to the bank manager and ask for the money which he has there, that is his salary. He should ask for it immediately. You'll be lucky if you get it. He waved cheerfully and pedaled away on his bicycle. Nathu went back to sweeping the steps, muttering to himself. When he had finished, he sat down on the bottom step to wait for the manager. He was determined to get his pay. Who would have thought the bank would collapse? He said to himself and looked thoughtfully across the street. I wonder how it could have happened. So at the end of the story, we find Nathu sitting alone on the steps of the bank and he is waiting for the bank manager to arrive so that he can ask for his salary of the past 2 months as soon as possible. And hearing what Sitaram had just told him about the bank going bankrupt, he wonders that how is it possible? How can a bank collapse? How has all this happened? And he doesn't realize that it all started from a small thing which he had said to Sitaram, which gradually went from one mouth to another and it turned into a wildfire. And this is how rumors are spread. And after a while, when we find that so many people are talking about something, we realize that it was just a rumor. And the reality is just very different from what is being heard at that present time.